everyone, it's me Lauren for Lovely's Instinct, and today I'm coming to you with another baby related video. So I posted my birth story about my experience about delivering my little girl, and so I had a question from someone who asked about breastfeeding 101. And so I'm always open. I don't mind. I'm probably a little too open about a lot of stuff, but I don't mind answering questions. So for breastfeeding, and this is my first child, I just learn as I go. I don't know everything. I have to research, and I ask people if they're kind enough to share information and their experience as well in order for me to find out a lot of stuff. Okay, so you probably hear my mom in the background with her grandbaby and just entertaining her, so excuse that. Anyway, so in my previous video, my birthing story, I talked about how I tried to supplement with formula and it did not work out with my little girl. And the reason is when I first started to breastfeed in the hospital, no one mentioned, avoid certain types of food like milk. Milk is one thing that upsets a newborn stomach. And gassy foods like certain types of beans, corn. Someone even said spaghetti. They said anything that would make you gassy would make the baby gassy. Which, I'm not really a gassy person when I eat. Like, I could eat chili a lot and not have gas. Or, I was a big cheese eater and it wouldn't upset my stomach, but somebody else, it would just cause them to be upset. So I had to cut out cheese and I had to cut out milk because I ate cereal every morning. Cheese I ate like throughout the day. Cheese was my go-to snack, something I would eat snack time and before bed. And lemonade, I was a big lemonade drinker, but the citrus of lemonade really does harm a newborn. It makes them upset. It doesn't kill them, but it does make them very uncomfortable. So that's something that you want to consider. So, so with formula, we, like I mentioned previously, if it was like we want to have date night or, just go out and have some time away from the baby, we would try to get like my mom or my sister to babysit. But the thing was, I wanted to pump when I went back to work, but no one really told me how to incorporate pumping prior to going back to work in order to start building up my supply. And also, no one really informed me, how do you add in pumping when you're nursing full time? So that was a challenge. So when we first started trying to introduce a bottle to my little girl, I would just pump like on demand. So if I know she's getting ready to be hungry, and it depends on the age of the child that that they'll tell you at the hospital, I think every 1 to 3 hours 1 to 2 hours when they're first born, and then it goes up to 2 to 3 hours. And so yeah, my mom would come over and say, okay, well, it's almost time for her to eat, or I just fed her an hour ago, 2 hours ago, so I know it's time for her to eat. So I would just pump the milk that I would be nursing so that my mom could introduce the bottle. And I did it that way because someone suggested, someone I don't know, something through research going online, saying that breastfed babies, when trying to introduce a bottle, sometimes it's easier if they take it from somebody else, like the dad or a family member or somebody else that feeds the baby. Because if the mom tries to give the bottle and they're used to nursing from you, then they may not take the bottle because they know, hey, you got my milk here, so why would I want a bottle? So we tried that with her, and we had a hard time finding the right nipple for her. And I was so big on having the bottles that reduce colic, and that's basically bottles that kept a lot of air from being sucked in. And so I had the Dr. Brown's, the Tommy Tippy, the Nooks, and it was another brand. I cannot remember the name of it. Nook, Tommy Tippy, Dr. Brown. Advent, maybe? I'm not sure. But she rejected all those nipples. Would not take neither one of them. Even for one of her doctor's appointments, she was like crying bloody murder. And I didn't mind nursing at the doctor's office because I have a cover up. And it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable because I'm covered and nobody can see what's going on. But also at her doctor's office, they have a special room that, you know, if you don't want to sit in the waiting area and nurse, then they could just take you back to the room and you can nurse back there. But I forgot, why was I giving her a bottle this day? Maybe because I had pumped the milk and I didn't want to freeze it and I wanted to go ahead and use it. I don't know. But anyway, somehow we ended up with a bottle at the doctor's office, and even the doctor came in trying to give her a bottle because she was cutting up so bad. And she took the bottle from the doctor, but the doctor was like, you have to find something else because she does not like this bottle. And so it took us numerous nipples. Oh, Playtex. I used Playtex as well. Every nipple all of those brands had, I tried. All the natural latching, close to the mom type of nipple, all of them. None of them worked. However, I got down to like the last straw and I was like, I don't know what to do because I'm like 3 weeks out going back to work at this point. And I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to have to quit my job and stay home and feed my child. Well, of course, my husband was like, that ain't happening. He probably said some choice words with that, but he was like, no, that's not gonna happen. So anyways, I finally tried a nipple that came with my breast pump. I have Medela pumping style, and I tried the nipple that came with that pump, and it actually worked. And that was the only nipple that she took, and it has been great so far. The only downside to those bottles is that they don't have like an air vent system, and the nipples collapse if you tie the lid on too tight. So we did that. So yeah. So back to what I was saying. No one told me about how to store up milk prior to going back to work. So I started pumping maybe the week before I was supposed to return to work just to get a bottle here and there. And when I did call the lactation office at my hospital that I delivered at, they said, you know, just pump, try to add an extra feed on. So if you feed 7 times a day, do a 8th feeding to where it's like, even if you don't get something out, just do a whole pumping session. And a pumping session depends on your body. Some people can get a bottle in 15 minutes. Some people take 45 minutes. I'm one of those people, from 20 to 30 minutes. That's how I get my bottles. I cannot, anything less than 20 minutes, I'm not completely emptying out my milk into a bottle. And so that's what I started trying to do. And they tell you that if you don't get anything out, you should still just pump for those few minutes for that session, and then eventually your body will produce the more milk. So I started work, and I wasn't sure how long I should go without pumping, and I was so frustrated my first day back because I emailed them a month before saying I would need a lactation room. I show up on my day to return, and I'm like, I need to pump. No lactation room, nowhere for me to go. They tell me to go in the bathroom or in my car, which you know is illegal. They really wanted me to show up and show out. So I went all the way home, which is about 25 minutes away, pumped, and then went all the way back to work. And that just, that worked my nerves. That was a horrible first couple of days back to work because it was so stupid. But I ended up emailing the building management myself because my thing is, if it's the law and you're required to provide this for me, I'm not going to take no as an answer. So either you can do it or somebody else is going to do it, but it's going to get done at the end of the day, and that's the attitude that I had. So end up having building management told my boss, no, they don't have a lactation room. But somehow I email and call, and I get a lactation room the next day. So I ended up doing that. So my first day, I thought, well, maybe I'll just pump every 4 hours. Even though when I nursed every 2 to 2.5 hours. Okay, that didn't work out because I was like, 4 hours is a long time. But I was like, I could go 4 hours before I get uncomfortable. So that's what I did. second or third day, I met another lady who shared the same lactation room, and so I was asking her. She was on her second kid, and she was just like, 3 hours should be max, just every 3 hours. If you do that, that's like 3 sessions while you're at work, and you should be pumping every time she gets a bottle. And so I took that into consideration. I did that, and I told her, at this point I did have a couple of bags of milk frozen stored up, and so because I hadn't stored up that much of milk, I probably had maybe a couple of days worth, but I would say a week because I was doing a bag a day. So people will say, any type of, not any type, a little bit of breast milk is better than nothing. So what I initially started doing was I would give her 1 bottle of breast milk. I would nurse before going to work, and then I would send with her to her grandparents' house 1 bottle of breast milk, and then the rest of her bottles were supposed to be formula. So that way, at least she's getting 1 nursing session, 1 bottle of breast milk, formula, and then I'm nursing throughout the night into the morning. Formula didn't work out for us. We started off with soy. Similac soy, it stopped her up. She wouldn't have a BM. Then we switched to Enfamil soy because it was on sale, and we thought maybe it was the difference, which it was a difference. It did not break her out. The Similac broke her out as well. She had like this allergy type reaction to it, to where she had all these red bumps and stuff going on. What? Yeah, in a second. So she had all these red bumps going on, and it looked pretty bad. So that was with the Stimulate. Then with the Enfamil, we didn't notice the bumps, but after she would have the Enfamil, like a couple of days later, we would notice a difference in her skin as well. So it was something with the soy. So then the doctor switched her to Neutrogemin. It's by Enfamil as well, but it's their hypoallergenic formula. And with that, it made her have BMs again, like every feeding, almost too many times. But with breastfed babies, they're supposed to have a BM every time they eat. And then she got stopped up when we introduced formula into her system. And then when we finally got to the hyperallergenic one, it made it seem like her stomach was so upset to where she was hurting. So it was just a mess trying to get something under control. And eventually I was just like, it's too complicated. And then it was a lot of confusion. I would just, because the doctor said just make the bottles as needed. Don't store them up. That way you're not wasting formula. So just fix 2 ounces at a time. And then if she wants more, just fix more. And you don't have to worry about heating up a bottle or any of that stuff. And you're saving more formula at the end of the day. Well, she can take 5 ounces of breast milk, but that formula, she'll take 3 or 4 ounces. So she's not getting as much, So anyways, long story short, we cut out the formula, and I just took it upon myself to try different ways of increasing my milk with the mother's milk tea, with fenugreek bars that I did, and it has worked out perfectly. But you have to also increase your water, which is something that I didn't know, because the lactation consultant that I talked to, she said, oh no, don't drink more water than you're thirsty for. 8 glasses is more than enough. Well, I noticed that if I down 5 glasses of water, like I'll just have a jug of water, if I do that in the morning when I first get to work, like just when I'm eating breakfast, like I don't force it on myself, but I'm thirsty. You get thirsty anyway with breastfeeding. But if I do that, then I can easily get anywhere from 8 to 10 ounces, sometimes 12 ounces. So that's pretty good. So if she takes 5 ounces per feeding, that's already 2 bottles right there. And then all of my next 2 pump sessions at work, I'm getting a bottle, and then when I get home, I'm getting a bottle because I added on an extra pump session. So I'm able to meet that demand for the amount of milk that she wants. So I decided to do that, to just pump, 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 and cut out all the formula so that we cut out all the problems with the upset stomach and skin breakouts and stuff. And so we did that. But also, let's see, what else? Picking out a pump, I really can't tell you about that. Someone asked, how do you decide on the pump to use? I don't know. Honestly, when we did the baby registry, I knew I wanted to breastfeed. I knew I needed a pump. I did not research the pumps. I was just in Target and we were reading the descriptions, literally reading the shelf description on each one. And I was like, well, this one costs the most. It must have more stuff to it. It must be what we want. All I knew was I wanted something electric. I knew manual was more work. So that's how I ended up with Medela pumping style, and it's actually supposed to be one of the top of the line, one of the best pumps you can get outside of the hospital grade ones. But you could check with your insurance. You could check with the hospital that you deliver at, because sometimes they rent them. If I did not receive one as a baby registry gift, I probably would have looked into renting one from the hospital. I did look into getting one through my insurance, but it was a pump that was lesser than the one that was gifted to me. So I just kept the one that I had received as a gift. And so, yeah. So pumping, it depends on, start with 15 minutes. If you think you're not getting enough, then add on the extra 15 minutes. Lactation will tell you don't pump longer than 15 minutes. But, you also have to empty out your breast. So I would just try. I started off with 30 minutes, and then I turned up the strength on the pump a little bit, and I was able to cut down that time to 20 to 25 minutes. So I think that's pretty good. But if you have any other questions, just let me know. Queen Madison is up and ready to eat, so I must cut this short, but I will talk to you all soon. And don't forget to message me if you have any other questions or any other requests. So, bye!